Linda, let's talk about the Greens because, my worldview is that I think they're the most dangerous thing on the ballot. But I'm also aware that they have a stubborn number of supporters. It sits somewhere around 10. It goes up to 12. In a poll, it goes up to 14. But there is a significant number of people who keep wanting to park their vote with the Greens, right? You're a progressive member of the Labor Party, so you prefer them to vote for you than vote for the Greens. But how does nothing ever happen to their support when their senators come out like Jordan Steele-John did and basically back in the use of graffiti on a war memorial to make a point about a war on the other side of the world? Like, how is there no line that ever seems to hurt them? Why do you think that criticism of them is seemingly so impenetrable? I'm not talking about mine, I'm just talking about the general Australian public, that there are people who go, you know what, I'm going to keep backing in these people who say and do stupid things all the time.
Well, look, it is not new news, is it, that the Greens have taken some pretty nutty public policy positions, and I do agree with you that this is one of them. Obviously, as you know, I tried to get my own council, the City of Sydney, to remove hate speech graffiti in an hour. Unfortunately, Clover Moore voted that down, but we do believe in removing graffiti, but I've had Greens on my own council say that we should just let graffiti run wild wherever it is, that it's just such a great feature of our cities, something that I certainly don't agree with. So, look, I think it is true, though, and you're right to identify that there are a group of rusted-on Greens voters, and that is something that's emerged in our lifetimes. They're pretty stuck on the Greens. They're not going to shift their vote. For many young Australians, it is also the case that they've been Greens voters for much of their voting life or all of their voting life. And as we see that generational slide change through Australia, as we start to see younger voters becoming middle-aged voters, what will happen? I think it's a really interesting question. The big problem, though, I want to counter to that, though, Paul, is the Liberals. The Liberals are not able to pick up these young voters. And so what we are seeing is as young voters start to vote progressive, unlike other demographics in the past, they're sticking with their progressive vote, be that Labor or Greens. And that is a real demographic problem for the Conservative side of politics that they have not yet confronted.
Yeah, but the raw, look, James, obviously the raw numbers, if you put, say, the Liberal Party, the UAP, One Nation, all kind of in the same world, that number is bigger than the left number in Australia. It's the preference discipline in part in and around the Greens that gets us there. I've got to go to a break in a second, but just a quick response to this here, James, about why they are seemingly so impenetrable. Because even, the stories and criticism of them and this senator today about the graffiti, that was on the ABC, but it just bounces off like an arrow.
Yeah, but the problem is, Linda, you say vote for Labor first, but the problem is you're saying vote Greens second. That's Labor's mantra. If you do preference arrangements with the Greens and you let them off lightly, you let them get away with everything, and that is the problem that we face today. The other big thing I'll recognise is the Greens play a very good game when it comes to door knocking. If you have a look at seats around Brisbane, they're knocking on doors left, right and centre, and I've seen young kids answer the doors. Friends of mine who've got 18-year-olds just about to vote, and the 18-year-olds say, I'm going to vote for them. They seem like really nice people when they come to the door.
Well,
That's the problem.
It helps
the
when they're
Greens
also
play
saying
a really good door-knocking game.
Yeah, it also helps when, let's get the 16-year-old vote and let's legalise pot. All of that is part of the issue too. Yeah.